Hello beautiful people, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be covering two things, and that is how to get your Wattpad book printed in paperback format, and also how to send your Wattpad book to your Kindle app so that it looks like a proper ebook. I do want to preface before going into the tutorial that I am using a PC, not a Mac, and also that I will be using a paid program like Atticus, which does all the book formatting for you. So if you don't use Atticus or you can't afford to use Atticus at this time, then maybe set aside this video and come back to it at a later date when you're able to purchase something like Atticus or even Vellum, which is specifically for Mac users. But if you already have your book formatted, or if you use Microsoft Word, you can format it that way for free, but you'll have to watch someone else's tutorial because I don't format my books in Microsoft Word. And then you can continue watching this tutorial and follow the steps that I'll be covering. So let's go ahead and get started. I also want to mention really quickly that this is strictly for personal purposes only, so if you're just wanting to have a physical copy of your book, that's perfectly fine. But if you're doing this to try to sell your book locally somewhere, then make sure that, bare minimum, your book has been professionally edited in some sort of way. And also make sure that you're going through the proper publishing channels like Barnes & Noble or Amazon or some other legitimate publishing platform, which you can Google for references. So do not use the steps in these videos to print your unedited Wattpad books to sell them to random strangers on the street. Just don't do that. It's not going to be a good look for you and your reputation as an author, and it's not going to be a good experience for the reader either. And now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So the first thing that we'll be covering is you'll want to make sure that you have your manuscript ready to upload to Atticus. And like I mentioned before, I will be using Atticus to format my manuscript. And there are specific steps that you need to follow to implement to your manuscript before you upload it to Atticus. So you can't just grab your document and then upload it to Atticus. It's going to be a mess. So make sure you watch the tutorial on that before following the steps that I'm about to cover, or else your book will probably look a mess and it might be a little glitchy when you upload it to Atticus's system. I will leave the Atticus tutorial in the description box below. It's a very short video, very informative. It's going to help you out a lot, save you a lot of time when you have to format. So after you've done the necessary prepping steps as stated in the Atticus tutorial video, what you would need to do now, if you haven't already, is create an account on Atticus, and then you will want to upload your manuscript. Alright, so now that we're in Atticus, let's go ahead and upload and format our book. So for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to select anything that I've already done. So we're going to walk through it together, and you can go ahead and fill all this information out. And just another quick reminder, do not do this step if you have not watched the Atticus tutorial video for prepping your book before you upload it to Atticus. Can't stress that enough, because when I first came in here and I just uploaded my book, everything was out of order. Some of the chapters were split in half. It was a mess. So please, please, please watch that video, format or prep your document accordingly, and then do this step. Once you have successfully prepped your manuscript, let's go ahead and get started. So hit the button and let's see where we go. Okay, so you will then be taken to this screen. Again, you can fill all this out. Now when we go to the step to do the ebook and send that version to your Kindle, you will, well, it's not a requirement, but you can upload an image or cover image here, and that image will then show up on your Kindle, and it'll look like it's an actual book. So I'll show you an example on the screen here for a couple of my books that I've already done. So yeah, if you already have an image done, great, you can upload it. If not, then the image you'll probably see in your Kindle, if you send it to your Kindle, will probably just be the Microsoft Word temporary image. I don't do anything for any of this. I just put in the name in my author title that I use. Don't click any of this. Don't get ahead of yourselves. Don't do any of that. So what you want to do, once you have all your main information filled out, the book title and your author name or your real name, whatever, up at the top, you want to go to writing. Now, if you formatted your book correctly, and if you use chapter titles or anything like that, it should all show up here on the left hand side. Now, in my book, I only have like 50 something chapters, but for whatever reason, when it's uploaded to Atticus, it looks like it's 75 chapters apparently. So what I always like to do, just to make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be, I like to click through each one, just to make sure there's nothing wrong with the chapters and all of that. And yeah, also another quick note I forgot to mention, which will also be in the Atticus tutorial that you should have watched. If you have the asterisk, that you use the asterisk in your book for like scene breaks and things like that, make sure you use the asterisk and nothing else, because I don't think that's going to carry over if you upload it to Atticus. So anyway, once you're in here, you can do all the fancy stuff like create a title page, so you can edit book details there. You can also upload a copyright template thingy that you see often in books. You can get any type of generic template off the internet. Contents, so this is their table of contents. Again, if you named your chapters while you were following the prepping instructions from the Atticus tutorial, then your chapter title, chapter names should show up here. And this is also going to appear in the book. Now, if you want to, just to be a little extra, you want to add like a dedication like you see in books and things like that. Oh, here you go. Go to preset layouts, and then you can add any of these to your book. So they also have the about the author, which is usually the last chapter. So I'm just going to go ahead and do dedication. Oh no, okay, it showed up at the top. So you can move these around. I'm just going to move it here. I think dedication goes before the table of contents or after the copyright. I'm not really sure, don't really remember. Yeah, I'm not going to fill any of this out, but for tutorial purposes, you can do that if you want. Also, another fun thing about Atticus, if you do ever want to get serious about this, your author journey, and publish for real and use this to actually format your book that you'll eventually have on Kindle Unlimited or something like that, you can also add chapter headers. So if you go over to formatting, by default, you won't see all of these options because most of them I made up myself and customized myself. But Atticus comes with default chapter headers that you can use. So that's like really cool. And over here in the right hand side, you'll see the preview mode. Most people read on their phone. So that's how your book will look when we send it to Kindle. Looks like a real book. And if you want to do paperback, you can select print and it'll show you how that'll look in paperback format. Okay, there you go. So once you get in print and you have the book in your hands, it'll look something like this. If you want to see it bigger, you can click on it and it'll open a temporary page viewing just for that specific chapter that you clicked on. So you can kind of get the visual of how it will actually look once it's printed off. So another thing that is always good to check, or good to maybe change around if you want to, if you want to use a chapter header, great. If not, you can just click on this little icon here and edit as a new theme, and you can customize the look even more. So let me go back here, let that finish loading. All right, so now that it's finished loading, like I said, you can customize all of this. You can also customize the chapter header down here, so how things will look. Okay, well that completely broke everything. All right, I'm not gonna do too much here. But yeah, you guys can play around with this. Now, something that I don't change when I'm in here is paragraphs. I don't touch this tab. I leave everything how it is. Subheading, I don't touch this tab because I don't have a subheading. So scene break, like I mentioned before, if you use asterisks in your document, great. If you want to give it a little razzle dazzle, you can also click on My Image Gallery, and you can also use the Atticus provided templates. And if you do decide to do this, for example, I'm just gonna select that one. You might want to drop this down to about 50%. Otherwise, it'll look crazy large in the print version of the book. So just something to keep that in mind. Unfortunately, I can't show you the preview because one, I think it's going slow because my document is so large, but you can look at it on your own document if you're following along. Notes, I don't touch this tab. Print layout, this is important, and this also varies by personal preference. Now for this, I don't touch this because it ties to the trim size. So for most books, they're either 5x8 or 5x5 by 8.5. And if your story is a little larger like mine, maybe you can do 6x9. For this purpose, I'm just going to do 5x5 by 8.5. So once you go back to print layout, you'll see that kind of change here, I think. I'm not sure if it did. Let's see. It did not. Oh, that's for the inside margins. Whoops. Never mind. So yeah, once we're on print layout, don't touch this. Just don't do it. I don't mess with this. You don't need to mess with it either. Now, what you can mess with is the indents, which my document is going slow again, so it's going to take a second to load. Oh, never mind. We can just use the ebook preview. Okay, so indent, this is how much it is right now. It's 0.15. Some people do 2, and so, as you see, it changed. It's a little bit farther over. And some people do 3. You don't want to do that. It's going to look crazy. I like to stay between 1.5 or 0.1.5 and 2. Again, it's really just personal preference. Yeah, but this is ebook, so just make sure if you do change this, make sure it looks right for ebook and for print purposes. These buttons down here, I don't touch these. Typography, I do mess with this, and you should also too. Line spacing, most books typically are 1.5 by 12. And whenever this finishes loading, you'll see that. I wouldn't go, the font size, I wouldn't go higher than 12. Unless you visually need to see larger words, then that's fine. Of course, go up however large you want to. But for most books, by default, it's 12 font, and the line spacing is about 1.5. And if you want to get a little spicy, you can change your font in here. I'm just going to keep everything default. Header and footer. This is something else that I do mess with, and I like, it all boils down to, again, personal preference. I like to do, I believe it is this one. Oh no, it's this one, where you have your author name on the left page, and then your book title on the right page, and then the page numbers at the bottom. I believe that's how most books are set up. You can grab a book and look at it, but again, it's all personal preference, so play around with these. I don't change any of these, but you can as well. I just like what it is by default. And we already covered trim sizes, so these are the most popular options. I'm just going to be using this one because that's what I've been practicing with as I prep my book for actual publishing. Don't change any of that. And I believe we covered everything. So yeah, you can customize all of this if you like. This whole page here, you have these options down here. So yeah, let's just go over everything one more time. This page you can customize. This page I don't touch. I don't touch this page. This you can customize for your scene breaks. Make sure you go down to about 50% or lower. This page, I don't touch anything up here. I don't touch anything down here. If you want your indents to go a little deeper, you can do that. I'm just gonna stay where the default is. Typography, you can change this. 1.5 line spacing. If you go lower, it's gonna get tighter. And if you go wider, it's gonna space out more. You can also go here, 12-point font by default. And you can customize the font in the book as well. Header, footer, this is all personal preference. I don't touch these options down here, but you can if you want to. And then trim sizes. So once we got all that done, just so that you can keep all this in mind, if you want to print a different book, you can save this as a new theme. You have to save it regardless before you can export, because you're still using the default by Atticus. So you'll have to save it as your copy if you make any changes. If you don't make any changes, then I don't think you will be prompted to save it. But anyway, so now we know how our book looks in phone format and the print version. So now here are the important steps. You will want to export PDF, because the majority of the publishing websites require you to use a PDF or a Word doc. I think you can, let me go back here. I think you can export it as a Word doc. Yeah, you can do that on this page. I've just been using PDF. It's just been simple for me and my life. So I'm just gonna go export PDF. And once this finishes, I'm going to also export the ebook. And then we're gonna move on to the next step for finishing up the print process. So I'll cut to when this is finished, and then we'll go on to the next step. Now that we've properly formatted and downloaded our book from Atticus, the next step is uploading it to a site where we can order a personal print copy. So you can do your own research to find which website may be the cheapest depending on what country you live in. But I live in the United States, and all of the options that I've come across so far, the one that had the most simple upload process and the lowest shipping rate that I could find was Barnes & Noble. Now, if your screen doesn't look anything like mine, you're on the wrong website. You don't need to be on the main Barnes & Noble. That's for reading and buying books. You need to specifically be on Barnes & Noble Press. And this is because Barnes & Noble Press is where you can upload your manuscripts and print your books, either to sell to the Barnes & Noble user base, or you can upload a book and order a personal copy, which is what I've been doing with my books so far to help me along in the editing process before I officially upload anything to Amazon, which is where I will be selling my books exclusively. Check me out, side note, shameless plug. So the links to the Barnes & Noble Press will be in the description box below, and from here you can follow along. So once you get here, your main screen should look something like this, and this is where you will need to create an account if you don't have one already. Now, something that I need to preface here before I forget, I don't remember if during the registration process, if I was asked for any personal tax information, or if I had to fill out any W-9 or whatever it is for the IRS, if you're like an independent contractor or something like that. So if you're asked any type of that information, yes, it's legit. Yes, you're on the correct website. Go ahead and fill it out. They ask you all this because they're assuming that you're signing up to sell your books through Barnes & Noble. And legally, they have to collect that information from you, because if you are selling and making money, they have to report your earnings or whatever to IRS. So go ahead and keep that information handy. Go ahead and fill that information out. But for us, we're just creating an account to order personal copies of our books. So still fill out that information, whatever it is that they're requiring of you. I also think it may take a couple of days for them to approve your account. I don't remember what the full process was, so I apologize for that. But I think you may have to wait a couple of days to get your account approved so they can actually verify you are who you say you are. So again, if you are filling out this information, use your legal name. Don't use any fake names or any author pseudonyms. This is all a legitimate process. So you do need to be who you say you are. But once all of that happens, if you do have to wait to get approved, you should probably receive an email in a couple of days letting you know that you're approved and you can start uploading your content and all that good stuff. So I'm going to assume you guys have already gone through that process, and once you're ready to go, your homepage should look like mine once you sign in. Okay, so once you signed in to your Barnes & Noble Press account, your homepage should look something like mine. Please ignore this. These are the books that I've already been playing around with. So what you're going to do is go to Create New Book. And as you can see here, we can do print or ebook. We're focusing on print. So go ahead and select print. And go ahead and title your book. Now, the very important step here. Don't do sell your book unless you are ready to sell your book and it has been professionally edited. Can't stress that enough. We're going to do keep it personal. All right, now this step here is kind of important, but not really. Also goes to personal preference. Estimated page count. The document that you downloaded from Atticus, remember when we did all of that? Whatever your page count is, go ahead and select that from here. Page size. This is very important. If you select the wrong page size, you're not going to be able to submit your book. So again, going back over here, whatever you selected while you were in Atticus for your trim size for your document, I selected 5.5 by 8.5. Whatever you selected and whatever you exported, that's what you need to choose here. So that's what we're doing there. This is going to be black and white, standard color, full premium color if you're doing I don't know, like picture books or something like that. This is a regular novel. We're not doing any of that, so select black and white always. This next portion, we're going to do paperback. Why are you doing paperback? I don't have a hardcover set up with a dust jacket. I don't have that design ready, and I don't have this design ready. So just do paperback, keep it simple. This is just a personal copy. Matte or gloss, this is personal preference. If your book cover has a lot of darker shades, they will show up better if you do gloss, but again, personal preference. Now this one, also personal preference, but the one that I've been using so far has been cream. Never do white unless you want to, but it's just going to be super bright and hard on the eyes. I just do cream. And depending on how many pages your book is, your price will the printing cost will either be high or it'll be low. So right now it's at $9. Save and continue, and that doesn't include shipping. Now your interior file. You can keep all this in mind, or you can just skip to upload file. I'm just going to go through this. This is why Atticus is so handy. It does all the hard work for you. So all of this, embedded fonts, I don't even know what that means. Just Atticus handles everything. It's truly a lifesaver, truly a great investment, I would say personally. No, I'm not sponsored. So select your file that we downloaded from Atticus. It should be PDF format. Barnes & Noble only takes PDF format, or oh, never mind, they take docs too. But I'm using PDF. So now it's uploading my Atticus file, and this should take about a couple of minutes. I don't know if this is showing on my screen or not. Hopefully it's not cut off. And while we're waiting for this to finish, I just really want to stress again, if you whatever you downloaded, that is the size that you need to pick when you're uploading to Barnes & Noble, because it will tell you if you pick the wrong size that you need to go back and check because something is wrong. So if your book is 6 by 9 and you come over here and go through these steps and you pick 5 by 5 by 0.8, and then you get to this step where you're just trying to upload your document, it's going to give you an error and tell you that you uploaded the wrong size. So I can't stress enough, when you're downloading this from Atticus, make sure you remember what trim size you picked for your book. I'm not gonna lie, that took like 10 minutes. I don't know why it took so long, but Don't close out of the screen, just let it keep going until this screen pops up. So if you made it to this screen, congratulations, you are halfway there. So this is just a preview of how your document is going to look in print form. It looks pretty good to me, honestly. So, and it is going to have if you decided to pick a chapter header from Atticus, it is going to have that in here when it prints off. So everything looks good to me. So let's go ahead and check these off. Please make sure you're the copyright owner. Please, I can't stress this enough, do not upload anybody else's content. That is crazy. And save and continue. Now the next step, because we're doing a print book, we need a cover. So I've already done all this, so I'm just gonna go here. If you haven't, then come on over here to Amazon. Here's the dimensions. I don't know if this is for print or if this is for, oh, I think this is for ebook. Oh, you might need to go over here. Anyways, I'm gonna leave this link. It's very informative if you're gonna be selling on Amazon one day. But if you also go through this, so you can either upload the full file or you can do the front and back. If you don't have a spine, Barnes & Noble will create it for you. But if you walk through this, you'll see that they tell you exactly the format for what your cover needs to look like. And based upon what you picked for your trim size, it will actually give you a template. If you can see, it will give you the template that your cover needs to be in for whatever book size you picked. So this is very handy, and it's another reason why I like Barnes & Noble to upload my books. So just go ahead and click that link. So basically what you want to do is you want to put this template in one of your editor files. I don't know what you use, Photoshop. I use Affinity Photo. And basically have this as the main layer, and then you'll put your design on top of it. Stay within the lines, read the instructions here, and then you will need to export the document as a PDF, not as a PNG image, not as a JPEG image. You will need to export it as a PDF, and the resolution and all that needs to be on 300 DPI. I'm not going to go through the cover making format, so you guys are kind of on your own there, no offense. But if you would like to see that, I can make a separate video. Comment below and let me know. But once you got your whole cover situation sorted, go ahead and upload your file from your computer. Okay, sorry guys, I had to go back to the beginning and upload or change my page size, because when I originally picked 5 by 5 by 8.5, I didn't take into account that I did not have a cover made for that. So since we're just doing a test, I had to go back and change it to something that I actually have a cover ready for. So let me just skip back to where I was and then we'll pick up. Okay, so had to go back and change all of that, and that took like another 10 minutes. This is another reason why you need to make sure you have the correct size downloaded, because your cover needs to match the size of your book. Obviously, you should get a preview if you made it this far and successfully did everything correct. So this is how everything's gonna look, and check off that, save and continue. And again, you can do a final look over, and then you're going to do submit for approval. This is probably the quickest process throughout this whole thing, which has taken crazy long for me. But once you do this, you're going to get an email where it says, hey, we received your submission. We're reviewing it now. And typically it takes about maybe 30 minutes to an hour for it to be approved. And once you get that email, let me see if I can pull it up. All right, so once you get your approval, it's going to look something like this. And then you can go ahead, if you can see here, if it's for a print book for personal use, you can now order a copy. So I'm gonna exit out of here because I'm not gonna submit this. All right, so once your book is approved, it'll look something like this. Don't mind, you're not gonna have 3 different copies. That's because I changed some things around. Anyway, it's gonna look like this. It's gonna be one. It's gonna say personal above the cover, ready to order. You can select buy. You'll be walked through the checkout process, and you'll see what your total is with shipping. And it typically takes probably like 2 weeks max. You'll get a email when it ships out. You'll also get a confirmation email when it has been delivered. And I'm gonna put up some pictures now to show you what the book looks like. It looks really good. Looks like an actual published novel. So if you ever wanted to make a personal copy of your book, this is the way to go. It looks super great. And now I'm going to show you how to get the ebook version of your book so that you can read it on your phone, or if that's what you want to do. Okay, you guys, so you can do the steps to do the ebook version the Barnes & Noble way. I actually don't use that way to get the ebook version of my book. Don't ask me why. I just never did it. I only use Barnes & Noble for the what do you call it, paperback version. Something I need to mention before I forget: when you do ebooks, if you have a chapter header, it's not going to look right on the, what do you call it, on your phone. It's going to be like a white space. Images don't work well in ebooks, so you should get rid of that in Atticus and then export the EPUB. So keep your chapter styling simple when you do that in Atticus, just an FYI. So once you download your file, it should look something like this. Okay, so right click on your file and hit share. And you should get a pop-up that looks something like this. All you do is just type in your email address and send it to yourself. So this next step I recorded on my phone, and for some reason it didn't capture the audio, so it's probably not going to sync correctly to the video that I'm about to show. But basically what you need to do once you send the file to your email, and just to preface, I'm using an iPhone. I don't know how this will work on Android, so crossing my fingers that you guys figure it out somehow. I'm very sorry. So anyways, once you're on your Apple device and you open the file from your email, you will also need to already have the OneDrive app downloaded on your phone. I don't know what will happen if you don't have that app and you try to open the file from your email, but because I use OneDrive for everything across all my devices is seamlessly connected. So that's how it's worked for me so far. So anyways, once you open the file from your email, it should automatically open to the OneDrive app if that's how you have everything set up. If not, it should open somewhere. So once you open your file and it opens up to the OneDrive app or wherever it is on your phone, select the icon in the upper right hand corner, or if you're on Android, somehow find the option where it says to send the file. And if you're on iPhone, once you see send the file, after you select that, you will need to look for the Kindle app and then click on that. And once you select the Kindle app, you can edit the details that you see on the screen, like the title and the author name. It doesn't really matter. And then you can go ahead and hit the send button, and it will usually take about 2 to 3 minutes for it to load onto your Kindle app, so please be patient. And after a couple of minutes, when you reopen your Kindle app, you should see your document appear. At first, it's just going to look like a regular Microsoft Word document, so don't be alarmed. That's perfectly normal. So once you click it, your cover image that you uploaded to Atticus will automatically show up, as you can see on the screen. And once you start reading the book, you'll see that it looks like a regular ebook, and it's pretty much that simple. But like I mentioned earlier, if this process doesn't work for you, then you can just follow the ebook steps from Barnes & Noble. I don't have any of my documents formatted for the way that Barnes & Noble is asking me, so if I did, I would have shown the steps for that. But it should be fairly simple if you just follow the instructions. And yeah, that's how you turn your Wattpad book, or turn your personal book, AO3 book, whatever book you want to keep for your keepsake that's you created. That's how you turn it into a physical paperback and how you turn it into an ebook. So If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up, recommend it to friends, subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video.